Hi, my name is Nora and today I will share with you a story that happened to me in the summer of 2006. The place was Beirut, Lebanon. We own our summer house in a mountain in Lebanon called Alay. We used to spend our summer in the house with our family members. We had a family reunion every summer in that house for the last 20 years. In the summer of 2006, we planned to spend our summer there with around 50 members of my family, and as we always do, we arrived there on the 10th of July 2006. Here's a view of the streets of Alay, and here's a local woman selling local food to tourists like us. Every year they have plenty of exciting activities in the summer for tourists. So, in that summer, I decided for a change to enroll in a business course in American University of Beirut. One day, while the driver was driving me back home in the mountain, and the radio was on, we heard that Hezbollah and Israel started a fight in the borders of Lebanon and Israel. As you can see on the map, I was not worried because we were used to this news and we know that fights happened all the time on the borders between whether it's between Israel and Lebanon or Israel and Syria or Palestine. Plus, the news sometimes exaggerate. The day after, we woke up suddenly on the down to hear this frightening sounds of bombs. We looked up on the balcony, and Beirut International Airport was on fire, on a huge fire. We knew later through the radio that the war had just begun. I never thought that I will experience the feeling of war again after the Gulf War. Um, Although I was a little girl of 5 years old, was 5 years old, but I can remember every detail of that war. I suddenly remembered every detail I witnessed in Gulf War, and I felt bad, very, very bad. I knew that upcoming days will not be easy. Here's some real pictures of the war of 2006, and the next two slides are view of Beirut during war. And these two gentlemen sitting on the balcony watching the news and the fire. Um, we was literally experiencing the same situation in that picture, watching the news while we see bombs, fire, and heavy smokes, and hear the scary noises of bombs and people screaming. As you can see in the next slide, this is the distance between the place that I lived in the mountain of Alay and Beirut. After staying 3 days under fire, my huge family and I decided to leave. Since the international airport was bombed, so we had no choice other than go by car through the borders to Syria. One of my sisters and her husband and kids decided to leave a day earlier through the borders of Syria. They crossed a bridge. 30 minutes later, we heard through the radio that the bridge was bombed by Israel forces and some people died there. Luckily, my sister arrived there sooner. We moved out of Lebanon in 8 cars. We were approximately 50 family members, including handicapped children and elderly. We reached the Syrian borders because the Syrian of because of the Syrian regime was so corrupt. The border officer asked us to pay $100 per passport. Luckily, we had the cash with us that time. We arrived Syria and had lunch there, but the hotels were all full, so we decided to continue our journey to Jordan. Uh, the f- and finally, we reached Amman after hours and hours of driving. And also, the hotels were full, but we found an old building that had five empty apartments. The condition was so bad of that building, very bad, but that was all what we've got. We stayed there for 5 days. Then we received a call from our old relative she was inviting us to her farm in the north side of Saudi because it was the beginning of the summer and we didn't want to go back home. We had no plans, so we agreed and moved by car to Tabuk, as you can see in the map on the slide. Then we moved from Tabuk to Tema, which took us 2 hours by car. The farm was in Tema, a small town called Tema. We stayed there for 10 days. It was the best days of my life. We experienced the simple life. We planted seeds. We harvested lemon, grapes, and all kinds of vegetables and fruits. We fed the animals and made some delicious local food. As you can see, the next two slides, this is the pictures of the farm. It had a modern houses and these houses we lived in, all our uh, family members. I want to share with you a song that we listened through our journey. We by coincidence we heard it through the radio in the borders of Syria. The song called Shadi and I, a song by Fayrouz. It was in Arabic, but on the last slide, it's translated to English as you can read on the slide. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and thank you so much for your time.
عشرين